and welcome to NCERT's live session. This is Simran Singh. You are watching us through PM eVIDYA, or you can also connect with us through our YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. Today we will be discussing about a different initiative, and we are here for NISHTHA 2.0 secondary level. Let me inform you that NISHTHA is a national initiative for school heads and teachers' holistic advancement that is also aimed at building capacities. Apart from this, it is worth noting that a part of this national initiative, 3 courses have been launched in the month of August. We have already covered course number 1, that was based on curriculum and inclusive education. We have covered this course in English and Hindi as well. In case if you haven't watched our sessions, there's no need to worry. You can always go to NCERT Official and have a look at our sessions. Today we'll be discussing about course number 2. The title of our course is ICT in Teaching, Learning and Assessment. To have an elaborated discussion regarding this topic, we are also joined with a couple of experts. Let me introduce them to you. We have with us Dr. Angel Ratnabai. Hello ma'am, welcome.
Hello.
She is Assistant Professor at Central Institute of Educational Technology, NCERT. We are also joined by Dr. Rezaul Karim. Hello sir, welcome.
Hello, hello.
He is Assistant Professor at CIET, NCERT. I welcome my experts and I also welcome our viewers who are watching us. Stay connected with us throughout our live session and do come up with your questions and queries in the comment section. And coming up to today's topic, as we know that during this COVID scenario, we all have faced a huge number of challenges. And in order to address these challenges, digital initiatives have been our lifesavers, and technology has been a major part of this. So let us begin our session and let's get to know about the use of technology for teaching, learning and assessment. Over to you experts.
Thank you. Thank you, Simran. So good evening viewers, and I welcome you all on behalf of CIET NCERT in NISHTHA 2.0, as Simran has already said. So we are into this course number 2, which is about use and integration of ICT in teaching, learning and assessment. So me and Dr. Angel will walk you through, and we will try to have this session as interactive as possible. We have planned some demonstrations for you guys. So be with us, and as she has already announced, be interactive, try to have response with our queries and interactions, and you can write your comments and feedback. So let's start. So when we say in this session, what are the broad topics we are going to cover? We are going to talk about what is ICT and why technology, what's its need and relevance, and most important is how to integrate those technology in teaching, learning, and last but not the least, safety and security aspects to be kept in mind while using technology for teaching learning process, right? So these 4 are the broad areas that we are going to cover in today's session. So to talk about first agenda point is that what is ICT, right? So to understand what is ICT, instead of me talking more about what is ICT, we prefer to have an interactivity here. Let's do a quick activity here to try to understand what do we mean by ICT. Okay. So as you can see on our screen, there is an URL given. It is a Mentimeter activity, interactive activity. So you can connect to it multiple ways. You can either open your browser in your mobile or laptop and type the URL. You can scan the QR code shown on the screen, or alternatively on your discussion box you can see the link given over there. So I request you to please join this activity. It is a really interesting hands-on thing. So click on the link given on the discussion forum, or you can go to menti.com/ enter this activity code, some character alphanumeric given HT4NT3RVYY, or alternatively quickly you can open any scanner in your mobile and you can quickly scan the QR code and open the Menti activity, right?
Dr. Rezaul will give 30 seconds for them to complete.
Fine, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So we would be waiting for your response. So the QR code is on your screen. Those who are watching on the YouTube, this link is also given in the part of the description. It is also posted in the chat box. You can also click from there to give your response. It's a one quick question we have put there. Those who are not able to access the link, you have to click on the QR code.
Yeah, so by the time we wait, we assume that you guys are interested in, I mean, actively participating, taking part, opening this URL, scanning it, and it is a interesting MCQ based activity only. So as you can see on your screen here, the question was, what does ICT stands for? Another way, what is the full form of ICT? And we gave 4 options, and we can see real time basis how different users are responding, how different users are choosing one or the other option. Remember, it is a multiple choice question, MCQ. So you can choose one of the 4 options given over there. The question is, what does ICT stand for? It will be clear. I mean, if you are able to reach the link for the activity, which as you can see on your screen, more and more people are joining in real time. So this is an example of an interactive, collaborative real-time assessment as well. And
those who have been able to reach to this link, you can also see the instruction at the top. There are 3 ways to reach. There is a link which is given in the YouTube official channel where you are watching live. You can click on that, or you can also click on, you can just type menti.com and then use this code which is given here to enter to this link, or you can also scan the QR code.
You are right, Dr. Angel. So I believe this is the most easiest way. Just quickly open menti.com and enter the code, 8-digit code 49774676, right? So far we can see that
122.
Yeah. Yeah.
126 people have answered, Dr. Razawal.
Yes, so far 126 people have responded, and out of them a majority, 116 of those have chosen the second option, which is information and communication technology. According to them is the correct explanation or full form of ICT. Okay. And 20 people have chosen information and computer technology, while 6 others and 1 more person has chosen the option C and option D respectively. So Dr. Angel, I believe we can stop this activity here because of the time constraint. So this is this activity proves that since majority have selected, and they have rightly selected the option B as the full form of information and communication technology, when we say what does ICT stand for, right? So this is the full form of ICT. Now we need to quickly understand when we say information and communication technology in the context of teaching learning process, what do we mean? Okay. So if you go by the UNESCO definition of ICT, as per UNESCO, ICT includes all such tools and technology and system that allow you to do broadly these 6 things, right? So those includes creating information, storing information, sharing information, modifying information, distributing with others, and presenting information, right? So these different activities, and you can connect with each other through ICT as well. So all those tools and technologies that allow you to accomplish one or more of these things means you are integrating, or you are using ICT for that activity, right? So Dr. Angel would like to proceed to the next agenda item. Is like now once we have explained or we have talked about what is ICT, now the second important thing is why. Once we understand what ICT stands for, we need to understand, like, we have come across some tools and technologies that are useful, but why we need to use them. So we need to understand that ICT can be used for various activities in the context of teaching learning itself. We have tried to enlist here some of the prominent or most interactive aspects of use of ICT, right? So we have listed here is visualization. When we say ICT, we can use ICT for visualization. Why we say is that there are many concepts which require showing things, right? Simply talking about those concepts to the learners may not make much sense, right? So you need to visualize, or you need to show those images, those things to them, right? At times there are abstract things. So if you can show some imagery, some visual contents to those, right? So, visualization is a very important concept. On the other hand, if you go to, for example, science, higher classes, for example, class 9 onwards as well. So, there are concepts of science, atoms, molecules and many other concepts. I am just randomly giving some examples, which none can see in naked eye, right. But if we know that ICT provides us with the tools and techniques through which we can explain these concepts through different interesting visualization to learners, so that they can have more conceptual clarity about what they are understanding, right. So, visualization is one important aspect of teaching learning process that ICT allows you. Second is trait here is saying engage. ICT is something which leads you to an engaging classroom, engaged teaching learning process, because you can really engage the learner, as you saw in our last Menti activity. When there is mutual, both way interaction instead of one way, our teacher speaking something to a group of learners, compared to that ICT allows you to be more interactive. That way you are able to engage your learners, and the moment we all know that the moment learners are engaged, there is more productivity in terms of gaining knowledge, in terms of conceptual clarity, right. So, the engagement is one option, one trait which we are saying. Collaboration, ICT allows you to collaborate, right. In real time collaboration, you can collaborate not only within the boundary of your colleagues and peers within the classroom boundary, no, you can collaborate with outside world without restriction of any geographical or physical restriction or boundary. You can collaborate with n number of experts, you can collaborate with your peers, you can collaborate with many other stakeholders, right, for different purposes. ICT allows you to combine multimedia, right. In a physical book, you are limited with the textual and imagery things, but in an ICT, the world of ICT gives you more option. You can have audio, you can have image, you can have interactives, you can of course have text, you can have an animation, you can have simulation and n number of things, charts, graphs, infographics. So, judiciously, in the right approach, as we will discuss in the next slides, in the later part of the presentation, right judicious mix of these different media contents which ICT facilitates, creates interesting environment for learning to happen, right. Another last important aspect of ICT is better data management. As we know, the new education policy has also emphasized on need for a record of different situations, moments which helps us to conclude or infer that learning is happening, right. So, ICT provides you different tools through which you can store, analyze, gather, store, analyze and conclude about learning through different data, as well as different administrative and routine other purposes. So, you can better manage your data, organize, store, analyze and find important insights from your data about your learner, learning, assessment, administration, management, finance, many other things related to your school learning, teaching learning process through ICT, right. So, this world of ICT also provides you with various tools through which you are able to do such things, right. Now, next we need to understand, as I said in the beginning, which is most important, like why. Why we have already covered, like how, right. So, when we say fine, you are telling me this is ICT and this helps me a lot in X, Y, Z number of ways, and it helps me to allow create engaging learning, collaboration, blah blah blah. Now, tell me how, right. So, there are, as we know, there are different instruction design theories, right, through which we can come out with better approach of integration of ICT. So, as was shown in the screen, ADDIA, which we popularly call ADDI model, ADDI analysis, design, develop, implement and evaluate. So, ADDI model is one of the most popular instructional design theory in context of ICT. So, I'll quickly walk you through the analyze. When we say analyze, when you are using or designing a learning situation using ICT, by integrating ICT, you need to analyze. What are those things you need to analyze? You need to analyze the purpose, you need to analyze the content, you need to analyze the learner, you need to analyze the context. I'll quickly explain without taking much time. When we say analyze, you need to analyze what is your purpose when you are as a teacher you are going to integrate ICT. So, what is your purpose? What comes to your mind? What purpose you wish to achieve by integrating ICT, right? So, you need to be very clear on that. You need to be very clear about content, right? What content is there for that particular age group, for that particular class, for that particular subject, what content you wish to explain or cover or teach. So, that content is also an important factor in deciding what kind of ICT integration you are going to decide, right. So, purpose is an important thing, context is an important thing, then your learner. So, who is your learner, right? Learner's background, learner's socioeconomic background, learner's family background, what kind of device and gadgets learner has, so that you wish to plan something, can that be possible? What kind of support, educational support learner may get from parents, from elder siblings at home, from other family members. So, all those learners background also, right. What is learner's prior knowledge obviously is also a factor. So, different parameters about your learner is also an important trait. Also context, in what context you are going to integrate ICT. So, while analyzing this, you need to also analyze the context with which you are going to analyze. As we know, this pandemic has also shown us in a more harsh way that the realities is that in a diverse country like ours, every household unfortunately do not have access to a digital device or digital connectivity, right. Survey after survey we have seen is that a good chunk of households unfortunately are still not able to connect to the world of internet, world of cyber world, and get benefits of online or digital education. So, that is why people are saying there is a digital divide, right. So, as you can see on your screen, we tried to list here what may be different kind of household setups in terms of availability of gadgets, right. So, there may be household who have complete access to computer, laptop, smartphone, etc., as well as a fairly good internet connectivity, maybe a 4G fast enough, okay, fair enough, the best ideal situation, as well as a cable TV connection as well, fine. Those kind of households also may be there, but that kind of households, I mean that kind of situation is not there unfortunately at all the places, right. So, there may be another kind of household or situation where there are households where that may be one or two smartphone only. There may not be a laptop or a PC. So, there may be a smartphone with an internet, fairly good internet connectivity, right. Or there may be another situation where there may be a smartphone with a very limited 2G or at max 3G connectivity, and smartphone also may not have advanced features, advanced operating system, advanced specifications, very limited things, right. This may be one. There may be households where there is no smartphone at all. There may be only having one TV channel, television set, with maybe a DTH or cable connection. Or there may be no such TV even. There may be a radio placed at one household or even a community radio, right. Or there may be category where households where no digital device at all. Why I am showing all the list or the different household possibilities is that one needs to keep or analyze all the different contexts while designing ICT intervention, right. So, you need to keep in mind in what context, in what is the reality of the learners, your learners with whom you are going to engage, right. So, I from here onwards I request my colleague Dr. Angel to elaborate with us the other aspects of this ADDIE model, so that we can understand how we can focus on the other aspects. Over to you, Dr. Angel.
As rightly said by Dr. Razaul, when we are analyzing, it's very important to understand the context, the learners, and also the content to appropriately choose the technology to go forward. So, when we wanted to go forward and plan our thing, like there are two very important steps. It's like designing and the development stage. As we can see here, the second step of instructional designing is in this particular model is design step. So, in the process of designing, what are we expected to do? So if we see, it's very important to choose when we wanted to integrate technology in our teaching, learning and assessment. It's very important to choose the medium as well as the media. When we say about medium, as in the previous slide we saw that there are different households with different things. So we need to understand what is the medium we are going to use to take it forward. So basically many times right now during this COVID period, what is happening is everyone has jumped into online classes. Now there are many houses where we don't have system at all, where they don't have computers, where they don't have no network connectivity. So in such cases the selection of medium by the teacher or by the school is very, very important. So whenever there is a situation where teachers are not having enough sufficient network connectivity, it's very important to shift ourselves. For example, right now a teacher training, NISHTHA 2.0 has started. In the last year we have done a massive teacher training program, NISHTHA 1.0. If you take Jammu as an example, a state of Jammu as an example, this was a complete online teacher training program which has happened. But there are parts of the state where you don't even get a bit of connectivity. They are completely isolated places where they can't reach to the people through online. So there is a need that they have to check out the alternative medium to take the content. We can't leave them out, so we need to still address them. So there is a need to think about it. So the state has decided to go through television and the radio. So that is how a medium selection is very important when we design, because it's very important to know the medium to design further your content. If you have decided to go for the radio as a medium, then there is no need for investing a lot of effort in developing a video content, right? So if you have decided the medium as radio program, then our focus should be more of developing audio based content. So that is very important. So the very first aspect when we start designing our technology integration plan is to decide the medium to whom we are going to give, whether we are going to use a mass media, or is it going to be one teacher connected to the student, or is it going to be the whole teacher connected to the student, whether I should use Zoom, whether I should use kind of a program where I'm going to use an instant messenger. So all this comes as to select the medium. The second aspect which we need to focus on is the media itself. As I said, if you have decided the medium as a radio channel, then you have to select the media as a audio based resource. So there is a very strong connection between the medium as well as the media, so that a teacher or the administrator who are planning this technology intervention, or the state who start planning this technology intervention, should focus on. When we start designing as an instructional designing strategy, we are going to start designing our like the classroom strategy or as such a state strategy to integrate technology into teaching, learning and assessment. The very first thing is to think about the instructional activity, which is to really understand the previous knowledge, what is the previous competency and everything in our mind. For example, I would like to just bring one of our experience. I would like to share one of our experience here. We decided to go for a pilot study to find out how teachers, interns teachers are able to really implement after training, how they are able to integrate technology in the school. And the intern teachers were trained very well and they were taken to the schools to do it. So training was done. The intern student have prepared their class well, and we went to the school and the class also started with the students. And when the class started, we observers were sitting behind, and then we were observing to see like how is the reaction of the students. And we could see all the children were really happy, and their eyes were very much open, and they were not even turning to the person who was sitting on their left or right. Their eyes were staring at the screen. So they were having a smile at the face. What we will conclude on seeing all this, we felt children are really enjoying the class. So that's an observation we started noting down, and the classroom went on very nice, where the intern student was really very impressive in taking up the class. But ultimately when the class went on and the assessment part came, we found that the student didn't understand anything that was taught in the class. Ultimately, when we did an analysis of what has happened, we went back and just understood several other parameters. We studied the several parameters, and then we found these children have never seen a TV in their life. So they have never seen some human being moving in the TV channel or in a screen. But we suddenly brought them to a class where there was a screen where the circles were running, triangles were jumping, squares were really rolling, which really excited the children. They were very happy. But the reality is learning didn't happen. So if we are not clear about what is the real competency or what is the background of the learner, what is their previous experience, without all this, if we start just bringing technology into the scene, it may really mess. So it's very important for us to understand that is something which is happening during this lockdown and during this pandemic period. We suddenly jumped in to start digital integration, technology integration, but without understanding the competency of a teacher. So it's a need of the hour that there are a lot of several studies now being taken up to understand what is the real existing skill set of the teacher. So it's now there are a lot of initiatives taken up so that the teacher starts building the capacity, children starts creating the competence to use these digital gadgets. So because of not having awareness, there should not be a problem in taking digital education into the field. So that is where it is very, very important when we really plan technology integration, we really need to see what is the previous experience or what is existing at this place, so that we will be able to build upon it instead of bringing something new and completely messing up. The second very important point which we need to think about is the instructional material. The core of technology integration is the instructional materials which we are going to use and the pedagogy in which we are going to integrate. So these are the two important aspects which we really need to see. So if we watch here, the very first focus is when we talk about instructional material. I would request Dr. Razaul, can you highlight like what type of digital resources one can use in the classroom?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Angel. So as you can see on the screen, it is rightly highlighting different forms of e-content. As we know, this digital medium allows us to create different kind of contents. As I said in the beginning, we need not be limited only to text. We can have visual images. So visually we can have image, or we can draw graphics as well. We can of course have textual content with different font, different color, different sizes, right? We can have rich internet applications, right? We can have interactive games, we can have e-journals, we can have databases, we can have presentations, right? We can have audio contents, we can have video contents as well, and other than video and audio, we can also obviously can have simulations as well, right? Simulation, as we will more discuss towards the end, simulation is something which really helps us to have hands-on activities or understand things the way we do typically in a lab setting, right? We can have animated contents, we can have different kind of interactives. One interactive activity we did in the beginning itself. We can have e-books in different formats, right? We can have immersive contents, which is really upcoming contents in the like augmented reality type of content, virtual reality based contents. We can have energized textbooks, wherein the way NCERT has come out recently is all our textbooks are QR coded, wherein the physical book, if it is in front of you, you can scan and land it to our ePathshala and our Diksha platforms, wherein lot many other relevant e-contents to that chapter are given, right? So all these are different kinds of contents. I am just quickly walking you through. For example, I say game. So when I say game, game is an umbrella term in terms of form of e-content, because one can think about variety of digital games which are proven or found to be useful or helpful in enhancing learning, right? So these are different forms of content, but as we have been discussing, kept on saying, having different forms of content is not enough. It is important for us to know what are the different, what all, when I say text, so what all different kind of text or what are form can be possible, right. So, here in your screen, as you can see, we have taken only one example. For example, when we say video content, so what all different formats we can have video. It is not just that a teacher or an expert or a subject matter expert simply sitting in front of a camera and kept on talking and that getting recorded is a form of video. No, of course that can have, but that we can have n number of video ways to create videos, right. As you can see on your screen, we can have role play based video. We can organize a role play on a particular topic and we can record that. We can have feature video, we can have talk, of course, we can have glass screen based video, we can have screencasting. When I am showing an ICT application on my screen and I want my viewers to see how I am doing it, so I can do a screencasting of that and come out with a video, right. We can create Vox Populi video. We can of course have a lecture, which is very popular, everyone knows. We can have magazine based video, we can have interaction, interview with experts, we can have docudrama, documentary drama, we can have drama, we can have discussions also, 2 or more experts or even learners themselves discussing on a topic and that video getting recorded, right. So, this is an example that shows even in video itself, you can have n number of ways of thinking and coming out with video. But why we are showing you here is that knowing simply a video can be used is not important. You really need to know, because end of the day we really wish to that our teachers are not merely the consumer of the e-contents. Teachers should be empowered enough that somewhere down the line they become confident enough and they also contribute by creating e-content. So, when they start creating e-content, or for that matter search about different available e-contents, they should know what are the different forms in which e-content is available, so that they can analyze, as I discussed in the beginning and Dr. Angel has explained, which media and which medium, right. So, that choice depends on different parameters, right. When you analyze and come out with you know your environment, you know your audience, and that is when you are, if you have this knowledge also of different formats of possibilities of a video or audio or a game or an interactivity. So, then you can choose or you can decide to pick right kind of content and you can integrate for that particular piece of concept to be explained to the learners. That makes your ICT integration more effective, I believe. So, over to you, Dr. Angel.
Yeah, thank you. As we are discussing here that we need to be aware of various formats of the digital resources, and also we need to know what are the variety of digital resources are available. If we see now, like, it's not just the digital resources which is already pre-planned and then it is already developed and kept ready, but there are enough tools and techniques that are available around us that we can use in our classroom as well. The one we use, the Mentimeter which we use today, like right now we are not connected with each other. There are thousands of people attending the session. We are not connected. We do not know who is participating. But still we could even make you to get engaged in our session by using the Mentimeter as a tool. It is just a platform where it's an online tool where I can use it by putting my questions on the screen, and then I'm asking them to actually participate and then do it. The same situation can be created by every teacher in your classroom setup even during this online sessions. So, even during online sessions we are all aware that we don't have a one-to-one connectivity, but still there are a lot of tools that helps us to take it forward. So, now I am going to just show you some of the tools. So, you can see the screen, like it's one of our colleague has made it. It's just a small collection of various tools that's freely available for each teacher to use it. So, there is no dearth of technology tools with us, but it is only now it's time for us to understand how to use those tools and then start using it. So, let me just take you through a small tour on various tools which that can be used at specifically to the secondary level, because It's not always a video that can help in our secondary level classroom. There are a lot of abstract concepts which is there in secondary level. There are certain things where we need to have a lot of dialogue. As we see the knowledge classification, which we would have all of us know that there are certain factual knowledge that has to be delivered, and there are certain procedural knowledge that has to be experienced by the students. There are also certain conceptual knowledge which has to be understood by the students, and there is metacognitive knowledge which they have to really build by having dialogues. So when there are different types of knowledge that has to be built in our children, it is very important for teacher to choose an appropriate tool. It is not, we didn't say that the video cannot be used, but there are other tools as well which a teacher should also come to know. We can only choose an appropriate tool when we know the tools. Only when we know the benefits and demerits, merits and demerits of a tool. When we know only what can really help in this particular content or not. So there is a lot of tools here, but I'm just going to take you small tour with few things which I'm going to explain to you now. Just a small demonstration which I'm going to just show how various tools can be used. Many times we in our chemistry classes we really struggle to show the structure, like we had time like where we used to bring the balls, thermocol balls, and then straws, and then make a structure of different elements and then to show to the students. That was the older days. But when we create such things, we used to find a space to save it, store it, and then use it, reuse it. But most of the time, because of the quality of the materials, it get lost. But now we have the complete technology in our hand which helps us to create such tools. We do that as a model only to give the feel of a 3D experience to a child. So now this technology has a tool which is called as eVIDYA. This is a software which is free for you to download. You can install in your system, which is completely free, and it works offline as well. So here you can see like it's just a screen available, but now it's just like a blank slate in the hands of the teacher, where the teacher can build whatever they want. So for example, like you can select which model you wanted to build here, and also we can just start creating the elements. So I'm just randomly selecting, like I have selected right now nitrogen, and I'm just selecting what is the bond. So there is a choice you can make what element you want and what is the bond order. So I'm just clicking on it. You can see now the double bond is selected, so you are getting a double bond here. Whichever element, for example, if I have selected oxygen, it comes here. So you can select the respective elements and build your own structure. So how it is going to be very useful. You would have seen now I have taken seconds to create this, but when you wanted to really do a 3D view of this, just there is a icon here at the top for a 3D view. So I just click on that, and whichever axis you would like to rotate. So you can see the 3D complete view of a structure which you have developed in seconds. And to develop such an animation, it takes a lot of time and effort by even using any other software. But there are subject specific softwares like this which can really help you to do this. I've just shown not 1% the way you can use this tool, but it is now in the hands of teacher who can use this in a different way wherever you want. So it's just a second, like wherever you want to change the rotation. I'm just clicking on a mouse click, things change. So this is the real strength of technology which is there. So certain things which you can make it very simple, you can use it. This is one such tool which in secondary level we can use it. I'll also show you some other tools for other subjects. Like for example, for social science, many of us, we used to think like a lot of historical pictures are really not with us. We really do not know like where to go and really get that pictures. Many times when they search for the pictures, it's all copyrighted. So we really do not know how to get those pictures, and many times we don't bother about it. We take those pictures and put it into our presentation and use it, which we also talk about. We should not use copyrighted pictures. So where do you get a lot of pictures which you can use it freely for your classroom? which you can show, or where do you show? Like many times we wanted to take a virtual, like a tour to children to various museums, you are not able to do it. There are several sites which you give the experience of virtual tour, and there are several sites which gives you access to a lot of things. So one such site which can be very useful is Google Art and Culture. This is also there as a mobile app which any teacher can use it. So this is a site which has connected several museums across the world which you can access it directly. So for example, I am just searching here Ajanta. All the archaeological sites, many times as a history teacher when they teach in the classroom, they talk about Harappan culture, they want to talk about the caves. But where do you get picture? You can directly show here. There are several 3D pictures available to show them the real full view of the place as well. So it's not just for the historical classroom, but it is also useful for biological class and other things who are teaching literature, because I remember I have never seen a copper mineral, like how does really the coal or copper looks like until I visited a museum in Bhubaneswar. So there is a need that we need to give really experience to a student, which is not possible directly. We can give experience using such virtual tours and actually virtual platforms. So this is one platform any teacher can use. It's not very specific to social science, but I have just taken an example here. You can also visit all the biological, in the museum we always have a dedicated space to have all these specimens there. So all the specimens can also be accessed here to show to your students if your school is not having every specimen ready. So this is one platform which we can use, and the other one which I am showing here is our own Indian website on Bhuvan. So this is something very useful for any teacher to use it. So this has quite a lot of application which any teacher can use, and this is having more as you can see here actually a complete digital setup of digital globe and the digital space where you can use and show many things what you wanted to use. Many of the schools, government schools or even private schools, they do not have even the maps properly in that updated maps. We would have bought the maps a long back, which is the wall hanging ones, but we know that there are a lot of updation that happens. So when you use digital maps, it helps you to get the updated ones very fast for your classroom usage. So this is one of the tools that you can use it in your classroom. And even sometime we think that maths is very dry. I'm from a maths background. I studied MSc Mathematics, but till when I completed MSc Mathematics, I never know how does pi look. If somebody asks how really pi looks, or how do you visualize pi, I do not know, because always it was written on the board pi is equal to 22/7 or pi is equal to 33.14, or many times we derived pi by saying that epsilon greater than 0, which is many times a person like me who is more of practical oriented. We talk about different learning style. I am one person who can learn only with practical experience. I can't even understand what is that abstract thought which was being taught in the classroom. There are many child like me in the classroom who can't really understand. So for them visualization is very, very important, and such tools like this is one of the tool called Geogebra which can be used in the classroom. So it's not just for mathematics. So the word geo and gebra, like algebra gives you a feel that it can be only used for mathematics, but it's really not. You can use even for the other subjects. So you can, if you are a first time users, you may not have an understanding of how to create your own. Never bother about it, like, because across the world people have contributed creating all their content on the screen. You can see when you type physics, you get a lot of things here. So even if you wanted to mathematics, I'm just showing maths. Whichever topic you want, you can just search by topic also, so that it's easy for you to show. It's not like you're going to create a lot, but you're just going to show here and actually do it. So you can type each and every activity, whatever you have in your classroom, and then show it here so that students will be able to understand. We have tried using this even for primary classes. It has really created a lot of experience in the child. So this is something which is a dynamic tool which you can use it live in your classroom, where you can just to show by moving and then proving all the proofs and all that. I'm sorry, I just clicked on the video, I guess. So you can see here the video, because this is how you can do everything by yourself. This is most of the time we do animated videos like this for mathematics, where a children doesn't have the step-by-step experience. Rather than such animated experiences, you can also use such tools to just move and then start building. When you increase the number of the sizes, you can always make it as a full screen. All this you can do, and you can also move, fold. You can also show everything like from here. So there is lot other activities in this which you can search in this website called Geogebra and pick up your activity which is necessary for your classroom. So the last one which I would like to also show here is a PhET simulation, which has lot of simulation activities for science and also for the social sciences and mathematics. So many times if you see, language teachers ask like, do we really have some tools like this? There are a lot of virtual labs for language as well, because language becomes a very tough thing where they need a lot of practice to be done, where they need time to practice, where we don't really give that time to practice. So there are tools where it helps them to talk to the machine, and it helps them to correct their pronunciation and then improve their learning, improve their speaking, and also to do lot of writing practices. So there are several tools like this which I have shown here. There are several tools like this which can be used, but the reality is many teachers become owners of these tools. Many people, many teachers, the moment they see the resources and the tools, they get very excited. Excitement is really good, but we also need to have a meaningful integration. It's not just a teacher should start because I have a tool now, let me start a class. I have a resource now, let me start a class. State has distributed some simulation, let me start a class. But it is very important to understand that what is the content I am teaching. Whether this content needs really a digital resource or a digital tool. If yes, which is the type of resource I require. In that type also we need to be very choosy, like whether really this using of this tool will communicate what I want to communicate to the student. The third thing is, even after choosing all this tool, really how do you want to use this technology in the classroom? It also need to be decided. Many times this planning and this designing is not there in our classroom, because of which we are not having a meaningful integration, and which is reaching to a point where we don't get a real impact on that in our classroom practices. So sometimes we may need to use our resources as a supplementary material of what we are doing. Many times teachers will carry a video and put on the TV and then just tell the students to watch. But whether that is really necessary, whether that video is going to be a supplementary resource or is it going to be a complementary resource of what teacher is explaining. So it's very important to understand how am I going to use this resource. Sometimes it may be in an integrated way. Sometimes it's completely infused where the student can't even understand when teacher is speaking, when technology is coming in. Integrated approach is like when you mix sugar and pepper. You can split it off and say this is pepper and this is sugar. But infused stage is like that when you mix water and lime juice. You cannot split it, only you do some process you will get it, but only the essence, you can't come to the original essence, right? So sometimes in our classroom, a teacher can plan to the level that you don't stand alone from the technology, or technology don't stand alone from the classroom. So there is a need that in any of these ways we can use technology in our classroom, but it is very important to plan in what way we are really going to use the technology in our classroom, right? So when we are planning this classroom practices, and NEP also very strongly recommends that we need to think about certain strategies. So I would request Dr. Razaul to say, like, when we are trying to implement this and plan our plan, what is one more concern which we need to carry forward?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Angel. So, you have rightly asked me to focus on one important aspect of means of blending, right. So, as she has rightly highlighted, we need to blend the right amount in right proportion the ICT, right. So, in our teaching learning process. So, you can have different combination of blend of ICT. You can blend if you talk about resources, right. So, while talking explaining about a particular topic with the help of ICT, you can think about different types of resources, different forms of resources, different medium of resources that can be brought into and blended together to have an effective impact on learning outcome, right. You can have a blend of resource person also. So, resource person one may be in physically in the classroom, there may be resource person who are joining through VC, and different from different subject areas resource person can come together. So, or you can have a resource person in alternative topics. So, various ways you can blend about resource person as well, right. Another is about method, right. So, I mean, what are the different methods? So, what are the different pedagogical methods through which you blend your ICT? As she has said, possibilities with ICTs are enormous. ICT allows you to have ready and available different kinds of e-contents, e-learning materials. ICT provides with you with enormous tools through which you can have interactivity, not only by merely creating e-resources and then using it. You can have direct interactivity, direct use of ICT tools, readily available tools for direct teaching learning process as well, right. And you can have a blend of learning outcomes as well. So, what kind of learning outcome you wish your learners to achieve, right. You can decide to have blend of transaction mode. What are the different ways in which you are going to transact a particular topic with the help of ICT, right. Last but not the least, what are the competencies that you wish to achieve through different ICT possibilities. So, we wish to achieve a competency wherein learner is able to visualize, or learner is able to differentiate, learner is able to critically analyze. So, you need to decide your competency, and accordingly you can blend the different ICT approaches or right kind of mix of ICT tools and techniques, and then you can have an impactful teaching, learning and assessment with the help of ICT, I believe.
Very rightly you have pointed out, Dr. Razaul, about the blending is very important. The blended approach is very important, because many times the teacher, when we start doing the ICT integration, we get lost only with the ICT. There is an importance that we need to give the importance to all other aspects of physical development, psychomotor development. So, it cannot rule out, because we bring in technology, everything should be kept out. The real blend is what can make an impact. And when we are also doing instructional designing, we need to think about the learner's participation. Many times the technology intervention makes the classroom more monotonous, though the technology can bring a lot of participation in the classroom. It is all because of the right choice we make. There are a lot of questions also coming up in the chat box, which we are seeing. There is a lot of question related to this, that how do we really pick up certain strategies. This is very important. That's what we are discussing now, is like there are several strategies. It's not something new as a strategy. There are certain methods which we all have learned. Its only thing is, like earlier we were writing on a board, and today we have changed to write on type it on the PowerPoint and we are showing it. It is not the change which it is expected. It is like not just replacing Blackboard with a PowerPoint. It is rather how the content can be presented in a way where the learning can happen. That is where the practical experience of using simulations, where they are able to observe again and again, where they are able to try out multiple times. Even our Government of India has come out with OLabs, which is like more of virtual lab content is there, which every school can use. This is for this very specifically developed by Government of India, which the schools can use it, and then you can give a practical experience for students to learn by doing. It's not just doing activities by learning by doing as well. And there are several other tools. There have been questions like can we suggest some tools on assessment? We are going to just give you a last at the end, we are going to give you some input on how do you really get oriented towards various tools, because this 1.5 hours could not be really enough for us to list even all the various tools which is available for teachers, but there is a way that teachers can access and understand. So there are several tools for even assess. The way we use Mentimeter, there are 101 tools that can be used in different words. So I just wanted to show you something now, where like there is a question stating that all people do not have computers in the school, they do not have a phone in the school. How do we do? Even assessment can, I am just having some papers in my hand, you can see here it looks like your QR codes, right? So these are the papers which are part of a mobile app called Plicker. So this is one of the assessment tool which you can use in a classroom where children do not have any system. Children do not have, you need only one mobile for a teacher to use it. Hopefully most of the teachers have, or it is at least there's something, a system in the classroom or in with the mobile. So usually how this happens is the question is displayed on the board by the teacher, and when the student actually sees this, in this sheet there is a mark on each side as A, B, C, D. So when the answer is A, just they keep the A at the top and show. So when the question is shown, student just show the answer through this sheet, and teacher uses the mobile and just keeps like this, it scans all the answers and gives the result on the screen. So even in the classroom where minimum technology is required, it is possible to use technology and integrate technology. But it is very important only for teachers to know what are the various things available. So there is a need for teacher to explore. And when we are planning lesson, our main goal should be always learner participation. Anytime we plan it, our central aspect should be learner participation in the activity of learning. And also there should be a plan for assessment along with that thing. So let us not keep assessment as a separate thing. If I keep question answer session at the end, like it will be sometimes a repetition. So we are parallelly we are looking at our questions. If that could be integrated in our session, then we can use the last minute for better discussion. So similarly, assessment also should be integrated as part of your lesson itself. And also it's very important to plan the follow-up activities for the classroom. So these are the things that we need to do it in the design stage. And in the development stage, this is where the real application of the design stage is going to happen. It's really an application of teachers' knowledge. Every teacher and every student who are going to be part of this digital education or while using technology is expected to develop the knowledge on, all of us have developed our content knowledge when we studied our degrees. We have also developed our pedagogical knowledge when we did our B.Ed and M.Ed. But there is a lack, there is a gap between certain teachers, certain of us on the technology knowledge. So it's very important for all of us to develop the technology knowledge and techno-pedagogy content knowledge, which we call it in short as TPAC. So this is very important that we need to develop. So how do we really develop? Because right now we are all in-service teachers. Where do we go? NISHTHA program is just for, it's a 3 hours course as a ICT course which has been given, which is very short for you to learn. But it doesn't really is sufficient for you to go ahead. So where do we go to have this continuous learning and continuous updation of how technology can be used in your class? You have a website. You can come to the website called CIT, because you know that Central Institute of Educational Technology works for taking educational technology to the classroom. This is part of NCERT. So you can just type CIET, which stands for Central Institute of Educational Technology, and under this there is something called resources. You can see here, I'm sorry, you can see a thing called
events.
Yeah, I'm just little bit enlarging the screen so that it's very easy for you to see. Yeah, you can see here events. Below events, if you can see, there is called webinar. So if you click this webinar, as COVID started and the demand for digital education has started, NCERT has started this webinar session on April 7th, and you can see here till today we have conducted around 387 sessions, and it's a daily basis. This session keeps running, and if you see here, it is every day from 4 to 5 p.m. And you can watch it in our NCERT channel and all the other channels. Even now 300 plus channels you would have missed, 300 plus sessions you must have missed, but you do not worry about it because you have every session video here. So you need not learn everything in overnight, but what is your requirement? Today you would like to know a tool for assessment, you can pick up a tool on assessment by searching. If you are a teacher of science, language you wanted to use, you just type your language. You can also see there are certain tools that has been used for language. Wherever the word language is there, it will also come here. So there are certain tools, sorry, it should have been English. Yeah. So there are web tools for each teaching English, because some teachers also felt that all the sessions are in English, we are not able to understand, we have done sessions in Hindi. So this is going to be your continuous professional development link, which you can keep connected with us to keep you upgrading yourself on various tools and techniques. As a small session on 1.5 hours or a 3 hours program may not really help you to go for learn everything in a short duration. So if we move to the development process, like applying all this knowledge, we really wanted to develop the content as per our requirement. And the fourth stage is the implement stage. In implement stage, most of the teachers, the moment they most of us, when we develop certain resources, we directly go and put it onto the classroom, into the student, even without testing whether we really work out. Don't test it for the whole classroom. Try out with small children and then 1 or 2 children, and then try out with the whole classroom, then publish it on the web. Directly do not publish it without testing with your classroom. At least you should understand that whatever you have intended to teach them, whatever you have intended the children to learn, that should happen with your tool. And also we can think about doing certain action research to understand how it is more impactful, and that action research will help you to identify the impact it has created in your classroom. It's not about the tool or any initiative, any ICT initiative we take. Let us try out with our children to find out whether it has really a meaning. Until and otherwise it has a meaning, let us not continue to repeat it, so that we do not do things repeatedly again and again, right? That would be one of the aspects which we can do. Once you have seen some impact, don't keep it with yourself. Please share it with others. There are a lot of people who have shared their experiences which have built the learning of other people. Lot of things right now you can see in the webinar. It is not that we have a list of resource persons with us. 380 session cannot be a faculty of CIT taking session, but across the country, whoever has used any tools which has benefited them, they are coming and sharing their experience and knowledge. That is helping much more teachers. So whenever you have started integrating, if you find something useful, start sharing with the classroom. The last stage of instructional designing, when you wanted to really integrate this, is evaluation. Dr. Rezavul, could you please highlight on the points of what has to be really evaluated when we integrate technology?
Sure, Dr. Angel, thank you again. So as she has said, the last step is of AD model is the evaluation. So you need to evaluate when you have attempted an integration of ICT, or while in the middle of carrying out a teaching learning activity with the help of ICT, by embedding or integrating ICT, you need to assess the reactions of your learners when you interact with them through ICT or try to connect with them for explaining a concept. What are their reactions? Are they curious? Are they happy? Okay. What are their behaviors? You need to also try to explain and follow. I mean, is there any behavioral change when they interact with ICT? Most importantly, learning. You need to assess whether learning is really happening or not. As Dr. Angel was mentioning about another example of kids showing contents on TV screen, they were really enthusiastic and happy face, but no learning happened. So, it is really important that we need to assess that through ICT whether real learning happening or not. And last but not the least is result. Of course, we all are concerned about and result, right? What is the result of ICT integration? But unfortunately, when we discuss and interact with teachers in different orientation sessions or wherever, they are largely concerned about result. So, when you see lots of study published also, so they are trying to show that before ICT intervention, I had my classroom had this performance, I taught something using ICT, so there is a change in. No, we agree and we appreciate that result matters, but result is not the only thing, right? The product is important, but the process is equally important. So, as we were saying, merely seeing at result, you may not be able to infer whether learning has happened or not. So, you need to look at actual learning happening or not, what are their interest level, what are their behavioral process. But Dr. Angel, here I would like to highlight one important aspect is that at times where teachers ask me, does someday ICT is going to replace us as a teacher? Okay. So, in this session I want to quickly talk on about that, is that ICT's intent is never to replace a teacher, right? ICT integration does not mean a teacher will be replaced by some intelligent device or gadget or some software. No, the teacher is at the center of integration of ICT, right? Teacher is the one, because as me and Dr. Angel have been discussing, there are enormous tools and technologies available, but teacher is the one who is going to decide following the TPAC model, right? Like there are different technologies. I have a piece of content to be taught and I know 6 or 7, for example, pedagogical models. So, for this particular piece of content to teach this particular concept, which pedagogy should I employ, and of the n number of available tools and technologies available through ICT, which one I should use, to what extent I use, right. So, that is important. So, that is why teacher's role is foremost at the center, I would say, while integrating ICT. Another aspect I want to quickly touch upon here is that many times, which all obviously you have already talked about, is that we get too much enthusiastic, like let's experiment or try out with our classroom something which I have learned. What we try to say here is that while analyzing, you see you are going to explain something, so can you do it without even ICT also? Can you do it in a natural setting also, right? For example, you want to teach a young kids about leaves. What is leaf, how a texture of a leaf is, how the color of a leaf is. For that, if you ask me, should I show on a laptop screen different leaves and show them? No, I would say no. Take them to the nature, let them touch the leaves, right? But for example, as Dr. Angel was showing, the Geogebra applet, it helps you a lot in, for example, explaining Pythagoras theorem, right? Because of paucity of time, we can show that. Where we teach learners that sum of 3 angles of a triangle is 180 degree. But for that, we try to, as a teacher, we try to draw 3 or 4 different types of triangles in a chalk and board method, and we try to measure the angles and we show them that the sum together is 180. But with a Geogebra applet, you are able to drag any corner and modify the shape of the triangle. So, the learner is getting clarity in his or her mind is that whatever be the shape and form of a triangle, the sum of 3 angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So, at that particular point, use of ICT is lot more important, right. So, what I am trying to say here is that as a teacher, once we know more and more tools and more possibilities with ICT, yeah, as she is showing here on the screen, is that this is a Geogebra applet through which we can drag any corner of a triangle, we can modify and change the shape of the triangle, still we get to see is that the sum total is 180, right. So, while explaining these kind of concepts, it is practically not possible to draw all those possible triangles in a blackboard, in a whiteboard, and then measure and show, right, because time is also a parameter. So, once as a teacher you know more and more tools and technologies, the more you know, the more judiciously you are able to decide, like, do I really need ICT, to what extent, to what limit, to what dose do I mix or do I blend, so that successful learning happens, right. Because my as a teacher, as a parent, my end goal is development of achievement of competency or learning outcomes among learners. It need not only be achieved through ICT, but as we know, at many times for many concepts ICT is found to be proven to be helpful. That is why this session is with the aim is that the more empowered you are, the more judicious the decision becomes, right. So, Dr. Angel, yeah,
very true
please,
that
please.
You have pointed out that empowerment of the teacher is very, very important to know about more ICT, so that a judicious decision has to be made. And it's also very important that during this particular time, if we have come across, we have understood that there is a safety and security concern also, which has come in as a very important aspects. There are a lot of tools that you can keep learning from others, but there are a lot of things that only a teacher can hold inside the classroom. And even nowadays you can see like teachers itself are saying like cyber bullied. They are being bullied in the classroom, in the online classroom by students. And students do not know what is happening. Sometimes they are exposed so much there that they are not able to understand what they are expected to do. So it's very important for a teacher also to understand when we get into this digital world, there are some important aspects, minimum important aspects a teacher should know about cyber safety and security as well.
And as you both are rightly explaining about cyber security and digital intervention, I really want to inform my audience that we are just left by 5 minutes.
Okay.
So let us quickly wrap up this session with a number of questions that we have received. So let us start with a couple of questions there itself. So one of our viewers, actually I really want to mention this, that people from all corners of the country have joined us. Thank you so much for such a huge participation. We have received so many compliments and messages like thank you for such an informative session. So quickly in the last 5 minutes we will take 1 to 2 questions. For example, one of the teachers asked us that we are really bounded by such a huge syllabus. So how could we practice ICT within the time boundations? If you could throw light on that.
This is one of the questions which most of the teachers ask during our training sessions, that we have a huge syllabus to be completed. So with my own personal experience, I can say that I have been a teacher in the school for a long time teaching mathematics, and lot of problems to be solved, lot of content to be given. But once I have started using technology, and there will be many others who can stand along with my side to say that maybe the very first 2 years when you try preparing the digital resources and planning, this will take time for you because it's new for you. Anything you learn new will take time. But once you are ready with the things, then after second or third year, actually the syllabus is not in your mind. Mostly your learning of the child is in your mind, but all the syllabus will be transacted. There are n number of live examples before us who can stand and tell this, and most of the people who has got ICT award also has spoken about it, how they have simplified their classroom with ICT. So that really happens. So sometimes, for just one example I'll take, if you want to talk about all the various systems in a human body, many times we'll teach circulatory system separately, this like every system separately, digestive system separately, and many times we will keep on speaking to explain. But a virtual, the augmented reality apps which are there like Anatomy 3D helps a child to do themselves and explore many things. So when they come back, there is less time required for a teacher to intervene into the children's learning and then explain things where, because already children have explored something in the mobile. So that is how really technology helps in addressing this issue.
And also, thank you so much for that. One of our viewers also asked us that a large number of teachers out there are not that tech savvy. So when you don't have that hands-on technology, how to deal with that, and how could ICT fit in there? That is a question that has been asked from one of our viewers, and if you could tell a bit about that.
Yeah, may I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, we know that many of teachers are not so comfortable adopting in the world of ICT. We do realize and we agree with that. So as Dr. Angel said, any change initially is difficult, right? So first of all, if we approach with the right kind of mindset, as she was saying about all that more than 300 webinars we have done on different tools, different ICT tools. If you are really keen, first you need to be inherently motivated, right? I want to learn something, and believe us, once you overcome this initial barrier, ICT is lot more beneficial for learners as well as teachers also. It helps you save lot of time as well. Not only that, you can learn from our webinars. The new education policy also has emphasized on mandatory 50 hours of yearly continuous professional development for teachers also, right? So we believe through such programs on an annual mode, NISHTHA and further enhanced programs which we plan to bring in future, we will be able to gradually empower and motivate our teachers so that they become learners and they can gradually learn more and more technologies, and they can start.
Absolutely, sir. Right. And ma'am, thank you so much for being with us and for letting us know the types of different apps that teachers can actually put their hands on, can use digital interventions in their life. Thanks a lot. We had a lot of questions, but we were not able to take all of those questions. So in case if you need our courses are also available on Diksha platform, and in case of doubts, any queries, anything you feel like talking to regarding this discussion, then feel free to contact us on our mail ID, that is nishtha.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So for today our session, NISHTHA session has been wrapping up, but you have to stay connected with NCERT. As for the upcoming days, we'll be having our sessions of ICT in teaching, learning and assessment in Hindi version as well. And also we'll be talking about personal social qualities for holistic development. Once again, I want to thank my experts and for the active participation of all our audience out there. I also have another important announcement for all of you. Commemorating the 75 years of independence, the Government of India has launched Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. You can also be a part of this celebration. You just have to do this simple thing. You have to record our national anthem Jan Gan Man in your voice and your tone and quickly send it to www.rashtragan.in. Thank you to our audience, thank you to our experts once again. Now it's time to say goodbye, but stay connected with NCERT as we'll be right back tomorrow at the same time with the same session. Thank you.